I cannot believe the state of these PlayStation 5's. They have been mashed up. I paid a total of £185.94 for both of them, so around about 90 quid each, which if you ask me, in my opinion, if the power supplies work or something, it's not the end of the world. My goal is to fix them. Am I going to try and sell them for profit? I have no idea. I've got a few spare cases and whatnot because, as we can see, this PS5 has been caved in. It came exactly as you see it now. So no side panels. There's so much dust in these consoles. I think they've been left outside because there's just signs of debris all over them. Do you want the really good news? It doesn't look like they've been opened. The warranty sticker right here is still attached. And I'm going to try and be really optimistic and say, even if I can't get these working, I'll be able to use them for donor parts. However, you best believe I'm going to try my hardest to at least get them up and running. Even if that means transporting all of the components on here into a different chassis, I want to try and get these consoles fixed. We're going to start with this one, which is in fact a disc edition console. The other one I have down there, a digital one. I'm not going to give it any power because what I want to do is take it apart and inspect the board to make sure that it's not completely gone. The power supply for these consoles, this is the disk drive. The PSU is underneath the bottom here. And if I flip this over, it doesn't look like we've had any severe drop damage or dents, anything in the casing on the backside. So I'm going to go ahead and assume the power supply is actually okay. I really hope so anyway. If we look at the ports, this one specifically has a HDMI issue. The USB ports seem to be okay, same as the LAN port. We've got a heavily missing bit of plastic right here. I would go ahead and assume that somebody broke the HDMI port and then thought, this is done, I'm going to chuck it out. And they've either left it outside or in a skip to be binned. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. So let's start now. I wonder how many parts from this I'm going to be able to salvage. This is definitely not one of them. This grill is donezo, you know? Now imagine it came with an SSD. What a great start to the video that would be. No, unfortunately not. Oh, this connector has been ripped off the board entirely. Wow, so those traces are all going to be gone because I can see the traces on here. Well, I don't know actually. Maybe that's just solder. Maybe we can just solder that back on. Who knows? Oh, is it just the ground? Oh, I think it's just the ground planes that have come off that connector. Okay, interesting. It definitely says something when the screws themselves are bent, doesn't it? So I can't reuse the screws by the looks of it. Wow, that is definitely not wanting to come out. That's an interesting one, that's for sure. I don't even know how I go about doing this. Can I just pull this up? Wiggle it out somehow. This is so incredibly bent, like the screw is pointing this way. What do I do in this scenario? Okay, all right, I got it. What's happened to this PS5? Oh, that connector's coming off as well. Yeah, that connector's coming off. Now, to prevent any further damage, I mean, this fan is going in the bin anyway because it is just destroyed. What I'd rather at this point, I have to weigh up whether I keep the fan intact and don't cut anything or lose traces on the board, and for that reason entirely I am simply just cutting the fan. How bad is that? It is hanging on for dear life. Yep. In fact, the only reason I've bought these is because it had the warranty sticker intact. If it didn't, there's no chance I would have purchased them. Does this come off? I'm kind of really excited but nervous at the same time. Okay, right, let's disconnect the disk drive. Do you know what? I'll be real. The actual motherboard looks pretty unscathed, which is exactly what I was hoping for. This seems to be an 1100 model, I think. Yeah, it's a 1116A. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try and desolder these traces from this connector. Save it from being damaged any further. And you know what? They're pretty much there, those traces. I can just... It looks like I'll be able to glue them back down, to be honest. Usually I have to rebuild the whole circuit. Middle one's ground. We have this one on the left as well, so that's not bad at all. Imagine if this is just a faulty HDMI on the board and I can just put it in another chassis and it works. I think that'll be the most profitable fix that I've got so far. Even better if the power supply itself is okay and untouched. All right, that's those out. More screws. Right, I think that is all the screws. Before we take this off and jump under the hood, a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, PCB Way. PCBWay is your website for DIY. Get an instant quote on your PCBs at a low cost with fast delivery. New customers will also get a $5 welcome bonus. Fully customize your PCB with a few clicks, including the thickness of the board to the color of the solder mask. PCBWay also offers services in CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and also injection molding. Head on over to the gift store and grab yourself a multimeter or a soldering iron. PCBWay has it all. Thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the repair. Nervous is an understatement right now. Okay. Yo. I do see signs of corrosion, but said corrosion looks like it's more so on the copper aspect of the board, and it hasn't yet corroded inside to the main board, if that makes any sense. Is, as I thought, absolutely filthy dirty, but can't tell if the motherboard is bent or not. Let me look at it like that. I don't know. I'm going to have to take it out of the chassis and confirm. Maybe, just maybe, we're going to be all right. Oh, okay, well, that just came out of this part here. Time to shine. Take the motherboard out. How's it feel? Still feels really strong. No obvious bending, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, all of this corrosion here on the copper can just be cleaned. Even if I keep this donor board, the £90 for that is just worth it. I'm going to have an SSD controller, which again, just doesn't look like it's been touched in any way, shape or form. Obviously, it's not been. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that I've got a working Southbridge. Now, we do have something to talk about. And that's the HDMI port. All of this corrosion around there doesn't look too great, does it? Doesn't look fantastic. We also have the corrosion looks like it's just touched on this rail here, which I believe is the 5-volt rail. So we need to be cautious of that. And just remember that there was a bit of liquid damage here. The board itself doesn't seem bent from what I can tell. I mean, maybe ever so slightly on this end, but that also might be just around the HDMI port itself. I think this could be savable. I also have something on this chip here, so I'm going to have a look at that as well. There seems to be quite a lot of heavy corrosion around the power supply area down here. Now, I do have a bunch of these power supplies, so in the event of me not trusting this, again, it is something that just can be replaced. I've got a few donors upstairs in the loft. However, for the sake of science, I feel like I do need to take it out and see how bad it is. It might be okay. It might just be the damage on the copper heatsink. What is that? Oh, it's from the heatsink itself. Look at that. Yeah, that's screwed. That is. Wow. Power supply doesn't look great, and there looks to be quite a bit of debris surrounding it. Could it be okay? Yeah, it could be absolutely fine. I am not gonna risk it, I don't think. I've got donors. These are things that you don't really want to mess around with. So I think all of this can be just completely and utterly binned. But what that does mean is that I'm now going to go underneath the scope and inspect this board further. Multimeter in continuity mode, which is the mode that beeps when we have a complete circuit. I'm going straight to that HDMI port to see what we're dealing with. Ready? This is the HDMI encoder IC. That looks really clean. And then that looks horrendous. That is, I mean, look, it just looks like surface level water damage, to be honest. It's kind of, you know, it's gradually gone into corrosion, but I still think it's relatively early. It's not gone to the state of rust yet, you know? And let me give you an example. We put this flat, and I'm going to get some IPA. I mean, that looks 1,000 times better already. And I'm just going to give it a scrub. Just around this area. And it's going to look brand new. It won't be. It's definitely not brand new. But if I just give this a scrub with some IPA and a toothbrush, you'll go, what? Joey, what magic is this? Let's have a look now. Still looking relatively bad back there, but that port needs to be changed anyway because of the state of the HDMI port inside, right? I mean, if you look at the port inside, yeah, it's mashed up. So it's definitely going to need replacing regardless. Look at that. Wow. I think that's what happened again originally to this port. I think maybe the PS5 fell off a cabinet, HDMI port split, and then they just said, no, it's not working anymore. I'm going to put it in the bin. And guys, this is a great opportunity to say you can restore and repair a lot of your technology. Don't always just go ahead and assume something's broken because it has no power. It's probably best to seek out any local repair shops in your area that might be able to help. Or give it a go yourself. I think try and get some practice first on some easier stuff. Taking phones apart or taking game consoles apart, etc., and putting them back together. But you can do it, I believe. Anyway, with this area looking slightly, I guess, less worse is the terminology that I'll use, especially up here as well. Is there anything that looks like it's bridging? Doesn't look like it. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that we don't have any shorted rails on that HDMI port for the time being. Now, if I go over to that 5-volt rail that we had before, this corrosion might be causing this area to short. So again, I'm going to give this a little bit of a clean. There we go. And then finally, before I actually start doing anything with this board, I wanted to check on this chip that had the mark. Nobody's been in this before. So having this mark on top probably means that the chip's gone bust, I think. To be honest with you, it looks like that might be a hole in the chip, is it? I don't know. It's very strange. Again, I don't want to apply any power to this board just yet, so I'm going to check the 12-volt rail and see if we've got a short. So meet it in continuity mode. Here we go. Do we have a short? Nope. No short to ground anyway, at least on that rail. Let's check this 5-volt that we've got just up here that was covered in that liquid damage just there. This is another 5-volt rail. This is the fuse here, so we'll check on the fuse. Seems to be good that side, all good that side. So we have a continuous path through here, right? Yes, we do. Okay, so the 5-volt rail, from what I understand, is not shorted either. Now going over to this RT chip here, which is the power management chip for the South Bridge. Let's check, especially on this fuse here. Put scope up a little bit so you can see a bit more field of view. Continuous path? No. No continuous path. We get 500 ohms, which means which side is shorted? This side. Okay, so we have a short here. This side is not shorted. This side is fine. You see how it goes above the 500 ohms? It's open line. The resistance here is going to be quite large, whereas here, it's nothing. So I wonder if it's just this chip that's gone, or is it potentially like a cap that's on this rail? Because on the back of this chip here, we have a plethora of other components. And it could be any one of these caps as well that just isn't playing ball. But it doesn't visibly look like any of these are broken, does it? Currently anyway. So first point of call, get this chip off the board because it doesn't look good. Then I can make an assessment of everything else. So I'm going to blast this off the board. 480 degrees Celsius airflow speed is a lovely, jubbly, cushy 99%. Here we go. Now I've just noticed something as well. Over by the Wi-Fi chip, I've got some ripped caps. I think this area is ground, which is fine. So I can just replace caps here. It doesn't look like we've got any massive damage. So I can just replace these caps, but they were hanging on for dear life. The board is probably most bent around about this area as well. Again, once everything's screwed down, I think we're going to be okay, you know. Who knows? Definitely not me. Let's replace this chip. Is our short still there, or is it gone? Let's find out. It's gone. So it was the chip itself that was shorted. So is this fuse still bust? Yeah, the fuse itself is still bust, so we need to replace this regardless. But our short that we had with the RT chip here is gone, because I believe that chip itself was shorted. I will just quickly run the multimeter on the outskirts of this chip and just see if we have any other shorts. No, we look good. We look real good. So I'm going to go lovely Bosch on here. This is called a dialogue IC. It's exactly the same and does the same job as the RT chip. It's just under a different name as well. I've just pulled it from another PS5 donor. So I'm just going to sit that there like that, come off the heat right now, because that's now going to be adhered. If I try and move that, it's not going anywhere. And then I'm going to come in with some flux. Tiny, tiny bit. I'm not going to replace the solder that's around the chip because there's no need. Just a tiny bit of flux there, not too much. Because the air is going to push it around the chip and under the chip and in all those good places. There we go. Can you see now it's almost sitting down? I'm going to give it a little nudge and just make sure we're sat properly. There we go. I'm confident with that, so I'll come off. Do we need to give it a little squeeze because the board might be slightly bent? Or are we okay? I might give it a gentle push down, which I don't usually do, but just again in this scenario, I want to make sure that all of those pads are making a contact. So I'm going to give it a slight push, just on the top, nothing crazy, and then come back in with the heat. There we go. Come off, and a nice little clean. How does that look on this side specifically? Because that's where it looked the worst. Good, yeah, I'm happy with all those. Really, really happy. Okay. I'm confident in the other sides as well. I can kind of tell from this angle that they're going to be okay. I'll probably eat my words at some point, but not right now. Need to replace this fuse as well. There we go. Jubbly. Again, extrapolated from a donor board as well. So swap for swap. Well, swap for bin, I guess. And there we have it. That rail should be a-okay. One more measure in continuity mode. Make sure we don't have a short here. We're on 300, but it might be rising because of the heat. Let's just check some other places. 280 there. Again, it might be just because the board's very hot right now. 346, 385, 366, 592. I'll give that a couple of minutes to just cool down. And whilst I'm waiting for that to cool down, I'll just check in a few other areas. Make sure our fuses are good elsewhere. Let's measure here now, whilst it's a little bit cooler. And what do we get? Yeah, so we get open line, which is good. Over 1,000 ohms worth of resistance. Same on that one. 1,000 there. What do we get here? Good, open line. Right, that should be good then. All right, F3501 as well. This little fuse here. Continuous path. No sides of that's going to be shorted because it should blow the actual fuse itself. All right, next stop, I want to get rid of this HDMI port. And once I've got this off the board, I'm then just going to make sure that this has a normal boot sequence by injecting voltage. Joey, how are you going to get this little HDMI port off? Great question. Blast it. 480, 99% airflow. Off the board, see you later, into the graveyard. I don't even want to tell you what this smells like. And it's going to be because of all this crustation inside the port itself. There it goes. Just falls out naturally. Just give it a helping hand. And you know what? Whilst I'm here, I'm just going to put some leaded. Mix it with the unleaded to bring down that melting temperature. There we go. I'll do the same on the other side as well. I didn't use any flux there. I'm giving this a good wipe, and I'm not holding back because I want to make sure these components are going to be okay. Now, to be honest, they look okay. They look strong. They don't look like they've been, rusted or anything like that. When I say components, I'm talking about this little diode and this cap here. I'll tell you what, this side of the board looks completely different. Look at that. Looks really nice. And then we turn it over. So first off, actually, a clean here. IPA and my cloth. Just to make sure. Now I'll come in with some flux. And just add, again, leaded to these joints. Perfect. Hey, that also looks really good now, except for that we have a tiny little bridge on one of them, but that's fine. We can sort that, no issues. But that looks really good. Drop a flux. That's how you rectify that. Iron. And just swipe down. There we go. Right, should we see if this boots? Pretty scared. Right, so here I have my DC power supply. I set it to 12 volts and it's going to go up to 5 amps at a max. And then I've got the negative here and I've got the positive. I'm going to put it on the 12 volts and we're going to see what we get. A normal boot here, it would go all the way up to 300 milliamps and then down to 0. What do we get? 3, 2, 1. 10, 32. Up, up, up. Yes. Back down. Yes. Okay. Do you know what? That's looking pretty healthy, if you ask me. I've still got a lot of work to do to this board. I have to put the caps back to where the Wi-Fi chip is, just on the back. And I've got traces to restore on both the fan and the disk drive connector, as well as put a new HDMI port on. Best get cracking then, eh? First things first, Wi-Fi IC, because this will just be a copy and paste of caps that we need on it. I've just remembered as well, we're not out of the park just yet, even if this all works, because I need to actually make sure that the disk drive motherboard's okay, because if it's not, we're not going to be able to use a disk drive. I need that original disk drive board. It's paired to this console. So I'm hoping, that disk drive has been smashed up. I hope the actual motherboard is okay. Now, the ground pads are ripped here, so they're going to look a lot bigger than what they should be. But that's fine, because it's only ground. It's not like they're bridging to something else. If they were, we'd have a bit of an issue. You also might be thinking, Joe, it's a bit naive of you to just assume that this console's working from the boot sequence alone. And you'd be 100% correct. This is indeed a gamble for content. Oh, as I was cleaning, that one's come off. Okay. Well, I might be able to just get that back on the board, I reckon. Unless the actual cap is broke. No, I think that's okay. You thought you could escape? Cool. There we go. These connectors talk to me. Here. So I'm going to have to rebuild the traces around the... This is the fan. This one looks okay, but I also need ground to be able to hold and stabilize the connector for the disk drive. I don't know if both of these are power or one of them's power, one of them's data, but that's not for here, is it? I'm sure that's ground. A bit of IPA here. Give them a clean downwards. I have to be careful here. Just want to make sure there's no gunk around them, I think what I'm going to do here is just use some tiny bit of Gorilla Glue, to be honest, underneath the trace. Because there's nothing actually wrong with the traces themselves. They look relatively strong, I mean, that works in my head. Oh, is that? Well, yeah, it's pretty much solid. Cool. All right, nice. Now all I need to do is just grind some structure for the ground pads, either side. Flux, both sides up. And might as well do the pads here at this point as well. Come in with leaded solder. Oh, the glue's come loose. Maybe I've gone a bit too quick there. Wait there, let me put it back down. No, by the way, this isn't hot air that I've got on the hot air station, believe it or not. This is just cold. It's a cold setting. I'm actually a bit surprised that it's not worked as good as what it could. We'll still keep those there though. I mean, once they're soldered down, it should be okay. The connector itself for the fan is going to rely on these ground pads anyway. Wickety wick 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 wick. Wickety wick wick. That wick's too thick. This one should do a better job, even though it's a lot thinner. Just there like that should be good. There it is. Should be solid. It's not going anywhere. We'd love to see. Same story for the other side as well. Also, not going to go anywhere. Perfect. Time to get the connector, which I'm going to take from a donor board for both of these. Okay, here's our first connector. Just need to secure it with a bit of soldering first, and then we can give it a good push down and all those good things. I think we're going to put it just about there. Most important thing about this is that we get it all lined up properly. There, right, there, and push down, Joey. Ground it first. Just like that. Is that good enough? That is. I'm going to turn the board around to make my life easy here. Just do the exact same on this side as well. Now, come in with a bit of flux on either side. Tiny bit. Not too much. Flood the iron itself with solder and go again. I really want to make sure I have a good connection, even if that means sacrificing a little bit of plastic on this side. Perfect. That's gone all the way up the leg now. And exactly the same with this side again. And that's just going to be rock solid. And then again, just a little bit of flux there, not too much. I can touch all of these pins down to the pads. There we go. A little bit more flux, take control of the situation. Look a little bit messy right now. Try and clean it up. There we go. That one's ground, so it could be a little bit more difficult on the end there. That one's lovely. Yeah, nice. These two, again, they're going to look like that. Little dry, microfiber, followed by little toothbrush. And that should be alright. Obviously, it's going to be raised off the board a little bit. We're not going to be able to get it perfect, but they all look connected and in contact. Let's measure it and make sure that it's going to be okay. I've had this point fail on me a few times before. So we're in diode mode, okay? I'm going to check the pins here. So first off, we've got ground, right? I want to make sure that we're reading ground. We are reading ground. Perfect. And ground this side. Cool. First pin, we should get a reading. We do. Perfect. 0.46. Middle one is ground. Should be ground. Nice. Last one should get a reading. Yes, there we go. Eventually. 0.34, 0.41, 42. Perfect. Let me just come off of that and go back on it again. Cool. Right. So we get the readings that we need. And now we do it all again. But this should be a little bit easier because we're just messing with the ground planes here. I'm just going to check something before I start grinding away. Are these all ground? Yeah, they are. Okay, fine. This is all ground. Here? Yep. Here? Yep. Perfect. What that means is that I can just grind over them and not have any issues. I'll do this one quickly without any jibber jabber. Right, that one's done as well. Let's check how it reads. Multimeter in diode mode. This, we should have a reading. We do. Yep, 4.2, perfect. This should be ground. Yep, this should be ground. Yep, this should be a reading. Perfect, there we go, 4.2. Wicked! All that's left to do now is the HDMI port. We'll tin this bad boy up. This is a PS5 HDMI port itself, just off the board. Actually, this one's history. This is the first port with the new scope. We're going to go tiny bits of flux here, and just a dribble of flux there. And that might even be too much, especially on those ground holes. So I'm going to wipe a little bit away, spread that out. There we go, that's better. Because otherwise it burns my leg. That, and you don't need that much flux. Here we go, 480 degrees Celsius, airflow speed 99%. We're heating from underneath, and then we're going to drop the port on the board. Here we go. Time is now. No, it's not. Try again. Time is now. There we go. Keep rotating that heat, rotating that heat, rotating that heat. Now I'm going to move the port back and forth. Make sure we get contact on those pads, you see. There we go. Make sure that solder comes up the legs as well, which I can see it has. And a light push down on the port. And come off the heat. Let that cool. I'm hoping the pins are attached. I'll find out in a second, that's for sure. Wait for that solder to solidify. It's wet at the moment. There it goes. Right, now come off. Now we want to clean as quick as we can whilst the board is hot. Those pins all look okay. I see one that I'm a little bit curious about, but I'll find out in a sec. Now it's important to clean. It might have just been super shiny. Yeah, it is. It's just super shiny. They're all attached. We can see here as well. The solder's come up the leg of the port, which is the key thing for me for stability. And that's looking really, really clean. And I can tell that all of those are going to be attached. What? I mean, that solder there is just so shiny. Unless it's dirt. Oh, it's just dirt. Okay, fine. All right, that's our port done as well. Okay, so we're at the nerve-wracking part of this story. Not before I clean up the back. This won't take long at all. Just a little bit of flux. Help us out here. Heavily not needed to do this, but just to make it look a little bit more presentable, I guess. Cool, there we go. Nice shiny joints. And that is a lovely, jubbly port. I say last clean. What I need to do now is actually go around and just make sure that we're not going to have any further water damage protrude on the board itself. So I'm just going to go around with IPA and microfiber cloth around all of the edges and just make sure I give it a nice scrub. Check any other components as well that might have the slightest bit on, but I couldn't see that earlier, so we should be okay. And then it's testing time. Whilst actually doing my clean, I noticed this little fella was missing somehow. I don't know how that's happened. Again, just a little bit of flux. We try and move quick here because obviously I've got a plastic connector right next to it, so perfect. A bit of flux. There we go, nice. All right, I'm going to go get another chassis and also see if I can get that motherboard disk drive and see what happens. Wish me luck. As we have confirmed, this disk drive has seen much better days. Good news. Oh, wait a minute, it has been opened. Unless that was just by the damage that we had. Oh, it couldn't have been opened because of the warranty sticker. Ignore me. This motherboard here that we see, this is what I need. I'm just hoping it survived whatever happened. If not, I think our best bet is just making this a digital console rather than a disc one. Still a win, if you ask me. I think, by the looks of it, the motherboard itself is okay. Oh, is a little bit bent. I don't know if you can see. You can't really tell from that angle. It's a little bit bent. I've got faith. I've got faith. Well, the great thing is this is untouched from water damage. Like, there's nothing here. And it is slightly bowed. Here's a donut that I have, which I think is going to be suffice. Again, this hasn't been opened, so I'm unsure if it actually works. I really, really hope it does. Need to make sure it's actually the correct fittings for this as well. I hope it is. No, that's the thinner one. And it just means I have to replace the motor and everything. So I can't actually use this one, unfortunately. I've got another one, but I think this is going to be the same, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, I can't use that either. Okay. Now, I can't actually locate one that's identical to this disk drive. However, I might just be able to use this one and put it in a different housing, you know, because, again, this looks pretty much untouched and everything seems to be pretty smooth. So I think maybe let's just rehouse it. There we go. Rehoused. Now I just need to put everything into a new chassis. Right. Ignore the mess. It is horrendous. Okay. Oh, my gosh. Back together. New chassis. Disc cable for power and the fan. I don't know what's going to happen here. The console could take off as far as I'm aware. I've had it before. I've changed the fan connector and it's just started almost like taking off like a helicopter. So this will be interesting, I promise. Ace if it works. Really, really cool if it works. Right, plug the HDMI in because why not? I'm going to be optimistic. Power. Please nothing happen here. Okay, I didn't hear any crackles or anything either, which isn't usually a good sign. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. Okay, fan spin, yes! Blue light, please go to a white light. Please don't be a beep on, beep off sort of situation scenario. Please go to a white light. Sweating. Is that a white light? Yes, it's just got to a white light. I don't believe it. Does the disc drive work? I mean, it's making a noise. Does it take a disc? To be honest, I'm still a little bit concerned. Oh, it's back to a blue light. Okay, that is probably a sign that it's overheating or something. Let's see if we get a display quick before I put a disc in. I heard the 3 beeps. There we go. It's on. Please tell me we get a display. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. HDMI 1. Yes. Come on. There it is. Let's go. Your PS5 will turn off properly. Amazing. I don't believe it. I've disabled HDCP as well, which means I should be able to show you the juicy stuff. Now, there we go. Turn off the audio, mind. Nobody needs to hear that. I don't believe it. This PS5 had 2 accounts, and you can tell. I mean, look at it. FIFA 23. I've got so much testing to do. I wonder if it plays games. I wonder if it connects to Wi-Fi. Let's see if we can connect to the internet, because that Wi-Fi IC and Bluetooth IC was a little bit ruptured, hey? It's connected to the internet. You can see it top right. I don't believe it. The real question is, does it take this disc and does it play it? I haven't got faith. It's spinning. It's spinning. It's God of War. Unreadable disc. Okay, wait there. It doesn't sound like it's spinning up. It just sounds like it's trying to read it. It's failing. It doesn't even sound to the point where it doesn't even sound like it's getting to the point where it's going. It's not doing that. So something is up with that. I knew I didn't have a good feeling about it. I'm going to go for a system reset. Just make sure that everything's hunky-dory with the disk drive and that the update goes through and all that stuff. Actually, I should do the update first. I can't do that. I'm going to have to reset. And then that's going to disable HDCP. So I'll go through this process real quick. And I'm going to investigate and see why exactly that disk drive isn't working, if I can tell. Might be the fact that it was potentially left outside for 17 years. But we got the PS5 working. And it's had a lot of work done to it. I'll update you in a second. I was just looking through the box where I put the other stuff. And this was at the bottom of it, like all of the rubbish from that PS5. And I think it's like the magnetic disc thing that helps the disc spin. I have no idea. It was attached to a piece of metal. And this is obviously the disc drive. I think, according to pictures and stuff that I'm looking at, I think it goes in here, which would stop the disc being able to spin. I think that's how it works. I have no idea. Right, there we go. It's in. I'm going to try it now. Okay, here we go. Time to test. Does God of War work? Put the disc in. I've still got a bunch of the screws to sort out. Sounds horrendous. As you can probably hear, that sounds really bad. Okay, yeah, what's that doing to my disc? What's that doing to my disc? It's not scratched it, but wow. That doesn't sound ideal, does it? Okay, plan B is I'm going to have to find another disk drive because clearly there's some stuff wrong with that. Right, that's been swapped out. I don't have the fan hooked up this time, so I need to be relatively quick and just make sure, I mean, we still get the beeps, that this reads a disc. Here we go. All right, 3. This is Far Cry. 3, 2, 1. No, doesn't like it. Why? What? It's not even reading it at all. Unless this disk drive is faulty. That I've just swapped everything into. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. And that was the actual last disk drive that I have that's in stock of that kind. It took me ages to find it. I had to rummage through a bunch of old donor parts. Well, I mean, the good news is that I'm actually giving this PS5 to somebody I know, and they don't actually require a disk drive. They just want it for GTA 6 next year. So I said I'll be able to hook them up with a console. I'm not going to sell this, just going to give it to them. For that reason as well, I'm not going to include it in profit or loss. I could hold on to this if I wanted to and make quite a big profit, considering I only paid £90 for this one console. But it's obviously had a lot of work done to it as well, and I'm just happy that I was able to save it from the bin, literally, and hopefully it will last the person that I know for a very long time. This video has gone on quite a bit now, so if you want to see part 2 to this, where I try and fix the other PS5 console that I think is probably going to be in around about the same condition as what this one was, if we get 3 likes on the video, I'll do it. See you in the next one. Peace.